the core characteristics that you could easily run off, right? He's a racist, homophobe, sexist, misogynist pig, right? Who hates Mexicans. Yeah, that's like the trope they create for him. But that's similar to what I see as what the same media has done to Bitcoin. Like, we're just a load of racist, right-wing Nazis that want to money launder so we can do our drugs and sex traffic children.
That's the soundbite for this episode. Right there.
Are we going for a new record in terms of how many times we can mention sex traffic?
Child sex trafficking.
Child sex trafficking.
Boom, we are back. That's right. The world's most bullish podcast, Bullish Bitcoin Banter and Bullshit, brought to you by a full house. That means Mr. All-In, aka the $1 trillion man, Dr. Evil 10%, aka the People's Champ, Mrs. No Show, aka Mrs. No Show, still here for another show, 3 in a row. Let's give you a whoop whoop for that. And myself, Sir Never Look, aka the Excellence of Execution. What's going on, everyone?
And we're just cruising along, aren't we?
Yeah.
Like, barely noticed the price anymore. Haven't really got enough I told you so's out.
It's getting dangerously close as well to actually giving Mrs. No Show a proper name, because we've always said, like, you get a proper name once the name Mrs. No Show doesn't fit, and it's starting to not fit. It's you're starting to wear it out. So who knows, eh?
Yeah, you say that though, but I kind of like it. I was even thinking about getting like a cap or a shirt or something with it on. Like, brand it up, own it.
Yeah, for the memes.
What do I do? Wear like a grey suit?
Standard. Standard. I wouldn't expect anything less.
Or a rainbow trim. Nice LGBTQ A plus.
Do you mean for his cap?
Oh, for the cap, yeah. Oh, the inside of the cap, then, yeah.
I was going to say for Mrs. No Show, since he's the ESP.
Yeah, you could easily replace one of your one of your letters in Mrs. No Show with a rainbow.
Yeah.
Simple.
Maybe the S.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, maybe the S. We could do that. That could work. I was watching back some of the old Legacy podcasts the other day, and I'm just sad that Dr. Evil's called Dr. Evil, because I really thought we were going to go with the thumb.
That was pod number 1, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, hello. Hello.
Our episodes that go 140 episodes ago.
Yeah. So how you avoided being called the thumb?
I don't know. I think I'd have to put on a bit of weight to be called that.
Also, as well, maybe I know a lot of listeners listen via podcasts, as in traditional podcasts, as opposed to maybe watching as well. But yeah, it's all good. Whatever your medium is with regards to consuming the content, get it in.
Yeah.
Talking about
Dr. Evil had a pizza on Bitcoin Pizza Day.
I didn't even realise as well. I took out my team for pizza, and when I was at the office, I was talking to someone. They said, "Oh, of course you've done that. It's Bitcoin Pizza Day," and I was just like, "Oh, is it?" I had no idea. So yeah, I managed to do it inadvertently, and it was a giant pizza. And it was very good pizza.
Look good. What was the name? So, what was the name of the place? Give it a shout out.
In London. So good, really good food. I would recommend it.
Some guy spent 10,000 Bitcoin on 2 pizzas, but 14 years ago, and here's you expensing your pizzas. The Bitcoin.
Yeah. Continue to stack your sats and spend others.
I was going to say, yeah, I need to stack my sats, don't I?
Yeah.
So, I read this story at first, and I was a bit, because it was a Bitcoin gossip, wasn't it? It's a little bit of a reality TV almost.
Yeah.
But then the second and third links, where I went, you know what? I kind of understand why people are kicking off about this.
So for anyone, not watching and viewing, right now we have Robert Breedlove, or Greedlove, formerly known as Breedlove, but he's still breeding his love outside of his marriage. Which, when I was looking into this, it was only 2 or 3 years ago that he got married.
Yep. And now, what's he doing? Go on, describe what's on the screen.
Yeah, and now he's having pizza with his new girlfriend. And let me say, he not only got married, he also had a kid as well with his wife, which is normal. But, so it's not like, it's just me and you kind of thing. There's a kid involved. And if anyone knows, for those in the know, Breedlove is one of those guys that tries to come across as this, holier than thou type of dude, all about the family, all about morals, all about ethics, and quite disciplined in his approach as well. But it seems that the wheels of his facade have fallen off heavily by the fact that his wife has said that this isn't the first time that he's been caught with a prostitute or another woman.
Is it an Insta thought?
Yeah.
Oh, she's not just Instagram. She's OnlyFans, right? Here she is. This is her, right?
Yeah.
So I'll stop sharing, but and I thought this was so timely as well, because it was only last week we were talking about what Bitcoin does and how it changes you and stuff like, family, your kids and all that kind of stuff. What matters kind of comes into play. And that's why like so many comments, and I think it's why Bitcoin Twitter has been so harsh to Breedlove during this, because I've met Breedlove and I've also met his wife. Like they used to go to events together, and he obviously he pretends he's this philosopher. He comes up with a lot of word salad stuff, and a lot of us Bitcoin Twitter guys went, you don't pass the smell test, mate. Like you spit out, you've got a quote for everything. You refer to some philosopher for every second comment that you ever say. You don't talk like a normal person. This sounds like it's an act. It sounds like it's a persona that you're putting on. I don't think you actually believe half the things you're saying. And here it is. Like he had seemingly a really nice wife, a beautiful young girl, and he's left her for an OnlyFans model. And he's now posting about it on Bitcoin Pizza Day. And even the tweet itself, he's got pulled out just for that. It's like the words he uses to describe the pizza. It's homemade, right? Homemade, gluten-free, meat lover. He's even trying to flex with that, like we made it at home, gluten-free because I'm sensitive, but still meat, come on, man. And supposedly it's homemade, right? But someone's taking these candid snaps of each other, like joyfully making it. Like, who's this third wheel? You got a fucking photographer in the room.
Yeah.
Like, it's clearly designed to hurt his ex, right? And she's come out, and her Twitter handle, by the way, his surname is Breedlove, which also is hers, but her Twitter handle was called Raising Love 21. So you can just see how it's such a nice, like, it fitted perfectly, right? He's Breedlove, she's Raising Love, right? And her whole Twitter was pretty much dedicated to him and raising his family. He's just gone against all that. And we know where that's going, right? We know where this degeneracy is going. She's an OnlyFans model. She's obviously just going to milk him for a bit of money. There's been the odd video of her coming out, just like chatting on these like little podcasts and stuff. And she's not got anything up there. Like she looks how she looks, which, fine. But she's not marriage material. She's not someone that, like, he's supposedly a philosopher, right? That wants these deep intellectual conversations. Like the little video I saw she was talking about dick size, and even that was coming across like she was a clown. And and yeah, I think it just exposes people that are here to flex and here to put on a bit of a show and go, oh yeah, this is me. But then actions obviously speak louder than words, and his actions just stink. And obviously, just in case anyone goes, oh, you don't know, maybe he got dumped. Da, da, da. No, his wife has come out and gone, he categorically left me for this woman. I didn't know who she was. It happened a couple of months ago, and he's obviously becoming public with it. And she hoped that it was someone with some substance. It's just some OnlyFans chick. And she's just like, well, that's disappointing. You threw away all this for that. Because in a couple of months, she'll be in the dust, you'll be bored, and
Yeah.
you'll be going, oh shit, I only get to see my kid at the weekend now. And it's and who do you think in the Bitcoin space would defend this type of degen action?
Got to be Pedro.
Fucking Pedro.
In he rolls.
Fucking
In he
Pedro.
rolls.
Can't get laid, dunking on Breedlove for dating a 10. Lamau. This post had been deleted. Oh, what a surprise. What a surprise. Number one, she's not a 10. Number two, dude, it's not about getting laid. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is bigger than that.
Yeah. I mean, his wife looks like a 10. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And his wife's intelligent as well. And
yeah.
like, this chick. Yeah. So I think it's one of them, isn't it? Like, I guess it's sometimes I guess we're a bit too virtuous maybe when you find Bitcoin and then you find all these ideals. Even an example of no, you don't. If you're a scumbag and you find Bitcoin, you're still a scumbag. So
Yeah.
Have you seen in her post she's put about he left me financially wrecked.
yeah.
So this is someone who probably puts himself across as a millionaire, multi-millionaire, and he's basically ruined his wife by putting taxes and companies under her name and then going, oh, tits up, and then just done a runner.
Yeah, we suspected he was wrecked because he did the whole he got caught in the BitClout thing. It was a shitcoin that was linked to your Twitter following. And the more followers you had, the more of the coin that you could get. So
this was in our early days when I was just like, I didn't really get it. I think we did the story. And like I said, I don't think it really sank in with me.
Yeah. So it's one of them where it was almost a good kind of like what is it, like purity test in a way?
Yeah.
To go, if you're an influencer in Bitcoin, then just because you've got loads of followers, it means you could go on this website and it would tell you directly how much your Twitter account was worth. I don't think Breedlove had that many followers back then, but I think it was worth about 70, 80 grand worth of this shitcoin. So you could technically convert into that shitcoin and go straight to Bitcoin. But really, 70 or 80K, if you're supposed to be potentially as rich as he was portraying, kind of who cares? You wouldn't cash in your morality and your like avoiding shitcoinery for 70K. For the average man on the street, maybe you would, but if you're Breedlove doing interviews with Sailor and all that, like no, like an OG in Bitcoin, you wouldn't. But the good thing that BitClout had on it was the way to claim those coins. You had to tweet a certain link from your Twitter account to activate the coins to be able to get them. So he had to tweet the link. And the second he did, everyone just went, you little fucker. Here you are claiming your 70 grand. And he's like, oh, it's just an experiment, like we shouldn't be closed-minded. It's like, just own it, dude. Like, don't make this a philosophical like moment, an experiment. Just admit it that you're claiming your 70 grand. If you just said you're claiming 70 grand, why leave 70 grand on the table? I'm literally going to get this shitcoin, convert it straight to Bitcoin, and what, bros? We kind of go, you know what, fair play. But he didn't. As always, these fucking word salad people go, you don't get it. You're attacking me. This is an experiment. No, it's not, bro. You're trying to get your 70 grand. And by the time you even got this, I think by the time you got it, that shitcoin had already plummeted like 80% anyway. So by the time you got it, maybe you got 10 grand out. You probably got less than that. And he destroyed his reputation. And then so literally, I haven't really heard anything about this guy because he's blocked me freaking long time ago. But it's probably been 3 years And now, guess what? That little bit of shitcoinery and grabbing easy money, what's he doing now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Step right to
I
the pole.
probably saw a little bit more of him because to most viewers that you all know that I hardly ever do it at all. And I'm kind of like YouTube all the way. And he had his show, but his show was really weird in the fact that the settings looked like he was in an interrogation room with somebody. They were very like, the walls were smooth grey walls. It was a table, a recorder, microphones, and that was it. It was just him and the guest. So yes, they could kind of really lock in and just have good conversations, but it just felt weird, like it was at some concentration camp. But I've always said this to you. I found him so boring. So I think maybe there's a dark side to him when he's either in a bad place or he's had a drink and the real Breedlove comes out. And that's where it is. But the person that he portrays clearly isn't the person that he really is.
So my kind of questions, because he's from before our time, what is he famous for?
Largely nothing.
Nothing.
No, he is just a classic influencer that started.
Yeah.
So it's like what is it, Dan Hope?
Held, yeah.
He was just a corporate guy. He had a couple of CFO positions, high flying CFO positions, and then pivoted into Bitcoin, then shitcoin.
It's
then
a weird one.
An influencer.
He largely became a name because I was around in Bitcoin before him. Like he came after me, and he largely got noticed purely mainly I think because he's more of a Chad looking guy. Like he's big, he's built, and then he lent into the philosophy side, which no one was really doing. So I think that's what got him onto the podcast circuit, and he just did loads of interviews. And because he talks how he talks, which is weird, it's kind of different, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he kind of became famous for being a bit weird, but when you really dig below the word salad, but behind the quotes and the books that he's clearly memorized, there's not a lot there. And then when you look at his actions, clearly nothing's there then. And that's what people really were going, that you sound like a snake oil salesman, mate. That you're trying to wangle people's Bitcoin off them, aren't you? Because you haven't got enough. You haven't got what you wanted. So this is an act. You're playing a character for an end goal. You're not here for Bitcoin and the revolution. You're here to enrich yourself. Then, yeah. We don't like people like that. He's been exposed. So yeah, I guess we just get to watch the fall of greed.
Do you know what as well? And I think we said it a couple of pods back as well. The greed of man, once again, is here showing its ugly face. You know, it's like, is no one pure? Is no one safe?
Well, but you can look at his position. He came in as an influencer. We basically tried to get on various shows, and like I said, it was manufactured for how he positioned himself. You kind of go, who's being a manufactured influencer? Pomp, Breedlove, Dan Held, and who else is there? Matt. Sorry,
Pedro.
Pedro, and then there's is it Layla?
Layla, yeah, exactly. Layla.
So everyone who's been influenced turned out to be just basically corrupt, haven't they? Trying to piggyback in on the Bitcoin riches to get paid.
Yeah.
And they've been exposed after time.
Let's try and keep it pure and true, and we'll just give you our view of what's going on in the world. So next was Pedro as well. See, we talked about Pedro. So yes, Sherman.
Yeah, so we got a nice clip of Congressman Brad Sherman.
Yeah.
But the long-term objective of the crypto billionaire bros is to create a new currency, and they've named it well. Cryptocurrency literally means hidden money. And if it ever becomes a currency, It means that we will not be able to enforce our tax laws except on wage earners. And we will not be able to enforce our laws against child and traffickers, drug dealers, and those who violate our sanctions. Now, the crypto bros have a lot of money. They make money by literally making money. They spread it around all Washington. They had Sam Bankman-Fried do it. Now he's in jail. Others have stepped forward. They've got a PR campaign. The Lakers don't play at enforced tax laws arena. They don't play at an arena dedicated to law enforcement. They play at crypto.com arena.
And there he
He's
is.
back again.
He's yet again nailed the use case, or one of the use cases for Bitcoin. Yeah. It means privacy money, and they can't automatically enforce their tax laws. Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Stick it up.
I don't really get.
I like how he caveats it though and goes, "Oh, but other than salaried workers," because he's right. Because in the existing government world, even if you get paid in Bitcoin, if they take the tax out before you get paid it, then even if you get paid in Bitcoin, 40% of your Bitcoin gets sent to the government, so you can get taxed that way. The only way not to be
in the US,
not
don't you have to pay taxes separate? Doesn't everyone have to do more? Do companies do them for you in America?
It's PAYE, isn't it? Yeah, you still have PAYE, I think, globally. It's just that, like most salaried workers, the tax comes straight out. But yeah, for self-employed people, plumbers, electricians, business owners, you pay your tax calculated by yourself at the end of the year. And the government largely knows what you owe because they can see it all. It's all in the fiat landscape. But the second it's in Bitcoin, they go, fuck, we don't know all your addresses. We don't know which, like, you could have many Bitcoin addresses that have not got KYC on them. You could be receiving money from all over the place. We have no clue what tax you owe now. So now genuinely your tax return is based on you telling the truth. We don't like that. We want full transparency. We like the whole charade that they play now, which is if you're a self-employed person at the end of the year, we know to the dollar what your tax bill is. But let you guess. What do you think it is? If you're wrong, big fines and imprisonment. If you're right, we'll say nothing. That's a nice little fun game we play at the end of each year. You know. And
but who's going to build the roads? Yeah, I kind of get this, but he does like then go on to child traffickers and money launderers. I was like,
classic.
I was just like, how does this even connect?
You can't diss Bitcoin without mentioning like child sex trafficking.
Like, did Epstein
somehow Bitcoin allows that? He doesn't know how, but you got to mention it.
Did Epstein get paid in Bitcoin? Oh no, he got paid in the dollar, didn't he? He was connected to the CIA. Whoops.
We said this last week, though, didn't we? We said fiat money has never been involved with sex trafficking, drugs, or criminal organizations. So yeah, spot on.
The dollar is the most corrupt currency, judging by that. So, you know, we can even go back to my classic one in Mexico where we designed the HSBC. So I can't say HSBC because it's out in media, the largest fine which any company's ever had. But designed it so they could drop crates into the basement. And that's what they did for the drug traffickers in Mexico.
Correct.
But yeah, let's talk about Bitcoin.
Right. Well, there's one person that says he won't ban Bitcoin, and that's Donald Trump. And it's interesting because we are now in May. We're recording at the end of May, podcast 141, and Bitcoin is getting political, 100%. Now, we've always known that Satoshi, I don't believe, made it just by chance on the year of an election in terms of Bitcoin coming out on the year of an election. So every 4 years, the halvening happens, and every 4 years, lo and behold, the money printer will continue to increase on the year of the election. And so now one of the candidates, Donald Trump, is using Bitcoin as his veto to kind of push his agenda and, of course, get votes. Will it work? Well, it has to work because there's around about over 50 million US individuals that have either got some form of cryptocurrency, and that's 1 in 6 effectively. So if he says, well, you vote for me, I won't ban it, hey, you're getting some votes on the day.
Yeah, I'll play the clip just so everyone can hear Trump saying it out of his own mouth.
I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody to the nation's 50 million crypto holders. I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. I will also.
But I think that's pretty massive, right? Because
it's huge.
I must admit, I all these guys are puppets, and clearly they all are being controlled by people that are far above where they are. But for him to categorically say, whilst he's in government, self-custody of Bitcoin will not be illegal, and also he will not support the creation of a CBDC. That's pretty fucking massive, because they're the two things that the government can categorically do, which would seriously impact the progress and the adoption of Bitcoin. Like the number one there is the CBDC. Like, do what you want with that. Like, clearly that's your own like challenge to do. Like, technically, can you even do it? Who knows? But making self-custody illegal and just pinning it to child sex trafficking, whatever you want. Like, there's a million reasons that you could create to say why that needs to be stopped. Because so he's clearly going, no, that's a load of nonsense. I am not going to ban the self-custody of people holding Bitcoin. And you go, that's a big statement. And he even mentions Elizabeth Warren in his little speech, who's clearly the person front running, who's been told, right, you are our official front runner, with Sherman her like number two. They seem to like go around together going like whatever the key talking points are, they both repeat them over and over. And there's Trump going, nope, I know what they're doing. And I think I agree with you, Sinevaluk, as in he's doing it probably not because he believes in Bitcoin, but because he wants 50 million votes.
Yeah.
But it's still like, but really, I just go, does that even matter? If you're Bitcoin, does it matter? And it probably doesn't really, if he stays true to his word, which is not bringing these bollocks laws in.
Yeah, I was just about to say there, though, we were talking just a minute ago about actions and words. It's very easy for him to say all of this now. How many times in an election campaign has stuff been said that never comes to fruition? Is it just a soundbite? Is it just something?
I mean, he was building a wall in 2020.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I was going to say he did build parts of the wall, but if you think about this, it's not he's got to do something. He's just got to not do something. So he hasn't got to spend any money, pull any projects together. It's just like, oh yeah, you want to ban self-custody wallets? We're not going to. So it's like no costs, no project management. Just ignore it.
Change. Yeah.
But if that thing that he hasn't got to not do was on the agenda of everybody else that's pulling the strings higher above, then will he ultimately be put in a position where he does have to do it and he has to renege? You know, I think it's all too easy for him to say this now. Yeah.
I just think they can't ban it though, like with non-custody. Like I think it's bordering on impossible. If you start trying to ban non-custody, people just go off platforms. I mean, they really can't track people.
But it's interesting that he's just said it as a rhetoric, and because I believe that, you know, I kind of get US politics, but not as much. But ultimately, most people are anti-Trump. But if he says one policy, that you're like, actually, I agree with that. And obviously it affects you personally. Okay, I'm in. So you don't have to agree on all of his policies. You don't have to agree on the likability of the man, but there'll be things that he'll say that will resonate with you, and you're like, yeah, okay. And the other side's no good, because it's basically a pick the best out of a bad bunch. So if he says something half decent, you're like, okay, right. If I'm going to vote on that day, I may as well give it to you.
Dude, the other guy at the moment is literally Biden. He is already a mentally ill, like dementia patient. And
Yeah.
you vote for him for another 4 years.
I was going to say, and Big Lizzie's telling you what the policies are going to be. It's not Biden telling you, it's Big Lizzie, because Biden can barely actually talk.
Yeah.
You kind of think he's got dementia. When he does seem to be in the room, he sniffs young children's hair.
that's even if it is him. Like I've seen so many like this.
Yeah,
clone. This is a body double. Like,
have you seen the pictures? Like the eyes are completely different.
It's nuts. Like it clearly is not the same person, is it? Like that. And I know that in politics, like body doubles is very normal.
Yeah.
I know Putin had a load. Like
Saddam Hussein used to have a body double as well.
Yeah. But you only use them usually when you're like going abroad and you're worried about assassination. You don't do it to do speeches with in your home country. And that is apparently what Joe is doing. But yeah, I think really like my main takeaway really from the fact that Trump is talking about Bitcoin is purely the fact he talked about Bitcoin. He didn't do this 4 years ago.
Yeah.
This was Bitcoin was very much on the agenda back then, but it probably wasn't being attacked as much as it is now. And they clearly, and the fact that Trump even knows what self-custody of Bitcoin is, which I'd probably say I'm not sure he does, but someone behind him does and knows that this is what Bitcoiners want to hear. They want to self-custody their Bitcoin. Say that. And oh, by the way, they don't like CBDCs. They think it's going to be a surveillance currency.
Well, the CBDCs goes wider, doesn't it?
Anyway. So just say you're not going to do CBDCs. And so the fact that Trump's even talking about this is like shows the progress of Bitcoin, I think.
We think there's people who are very anti-Bitcoin and anti-crypto who don't want CBDCs. So it's not just that crowd. So I think it is a general approach to people who want a little bit of freedom. I mean, but then again, I suppose the Democrats will just sell it by promising helicopter money.
Yeah.
Who's going to pay? Oh, your future self.
Yeah, well, I think they've made their bed, haven't they? They've made their bed, as in the fact you're a crypto bro, as we were literally just hearing on the last story. That's the other side. The crypto bros want to dodge taxes, enable child sex trafficking, bore the oceans. That's their argument. Where Trump's going, it's fine. Let people be free. You can self-custody your Bitcoin if you want. Which I agree. Like he's still a massive advocate for the US dollar. So I guarantee the second Bitcoin becomes a threat to the US dollar, Trump will turn on a dime and attack Bitcoin.
I don't know. Have you read? He did a book with Robert Kiyosaki, and it basically slates the whole modern monetary theory. So talking about inflation, and pretty much that's the premise of the whole book. That was back in about 2000. Sorry,
with Trump.
Yeah,
Trump and Robert Kiyosaki. It's basically inflation and what you got to do to get around it, and how much they both hate it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, Robert Kiyosaki's always said that he's not political, but he's always focused on money. And this again was when a time when Donald Trump was a likable character amongst most
he still people. Is. Like,
if
you don't, like, literally, I view Trump a little bit like Bitcoin. Like if you read what the media says about him and what you read about what the media says about Bitcoin, you wouldn't go near either of them. They are the worst of the worst, right? The second you start digging and going, let's have a look at how many of these accusations land on some verifiable data and facts, it all starts crumbling away, and you go, right, so who is Trump really? He's someone that says a lot of inconvenient truths and talks to the people directly. and not following the PR spin and very much the democratic kind of elitist spin.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, okay, that's why they demonized him as, the core characteristics that you could easily run off, right? He's a racist, homophobe, sexist, misogynist pig, right? Who hates Mexicans. Yeah, that's like the trope they created for him. But that's similar to what I see as what the same media has done to Bitcoin. Like, we're just a load of racist, right-wing Nazis that want to money launder so we can do our drugs and sex traffic children.
That's the soundbite for this episode. Right there.
Are we going for a new record in terms of how many times we can mention sex traffic?
Child sex trafficking.
Child sex trafficking.
You'll get the pod flagged. But I suppose you get some more listens, won't you?
No, it's going to get 0 views.
Hey, that's what. Talking of which, as well, have you guys seen the Kia Starmer toy doll advert?
I'm sorry, what?
Is this a sex doll?
No, it's just a brand new.
Interested.
It's a very, very interesting way of how messages have been pushed to me on YouTube in terms of political messages, and a different way. So it just comes on, as most adverts do, unannounced within an advert, and it's various different dolls of Keir Starmer and showing how he flip-flops his opinion. So this is the Keir Starmer next to this, and the Keir Starmer next to this, and so forth. But it's an interesting way of how social media has now changed and how they are using their political pounds and dollars to influence people. And so I feel like this will continue, as obviously we're having 2 elections this year, one in the UK on July the 4th and one in November, just before Thanksgiving, of course, as well. But I just think this is the start of it. And again, our podcast, even though we're a Bitcoin podcast, we will also have to touch on the politics of this as well, because they go hand in hand, because ultimately it's government money or printing that is made inflation as it is, and of course why Bitcoin is sound money.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting take.
Yes. The other thing that Trump said, right, and this is something that this is very right or wrong. He either does it or he doesn't, right? He literally said, Ross Ulbricht, one of the first things he'll do, day one of being elected, he will pardon Ross. He's already served 11 years. We're going to get him home. And I can even show the clip.
And if you vote for me on day one, I will commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht to a sentence of time served. Served 11 years. We're going to get him home.
And that's him saying it. And clearly the entire room goes up in furore when he says that. They're all cheering. It's a libertarian conference. Obviously, the Free Ross crowd are there. Clearly, again, he's playing to the crowd, trying to get votes, all that kind of good stuff. But he's saying he's going to pardon Ross here. So for anyone that doesn't know who Ross
the problem is that there's probably a good 30 million dead people who are going to vote for Biden.
Yeah.
So you got that, you know.
But again, I just react to what you said. Like, that's big, right? He didn't say this 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's absolutely massive. It was something as he was leaving office, because something which they do when they're leaving office is they pardon a few people. And there were big calls for him, Assange, and Snowden to be pardoned, and he did none of them. But obviously,
and the Tiger King.
I was
Yeah.
Tiger King.
Yeah.
That bloody COVID show.
He did pardon someone, but it was someone to do with the army who had killed a couple of people on duty. So he pardoned that person. But I think if you kind of look at all those, Tiger King, like God knows what's happened to him now. And then Snowden and Assange, right? Well, Snowden and shocked that Assange did nothing wrong because ultimately they just revealed what the hell America were doing. They'll never get because America's controlled by the military complex, isn't it? So you kind of go, who's the lesser of all evils? It's this guy who ran Silk Road on the dark web.
I know, but it's the same. It's the same level of embarrassment. Probably not quite as big as Snowden and Assange. Like they probably are. They literally exposed Snowden exposed the mass surveillance that the NSA was doing on the entire world, and Assange has exposed the illegal war crimes that the America did in various countries, and so both probably right at the peak of embarrassment. But Ross, all he did is really expose the fact that anyone can create a business, and you should just allowing free trade. It's just embarrassing, really, I guess, the fact that he managed to grow a single website on the dark web that accepts Bitcoin, that it grew to hundreds of millions worth of dollars, like trading on a monthly basis, and they couldn't find him for ages. So, and then yeah, and to put him in prison, saying he's a kingpin, saying he's basically heading up some massive criminal enterprise. It was literally just a website that was peer-to-peer that let people do whatever they wanted. But I wouldn't be surprised. Like clearly, Trump at the moment he's like a wild animal. He can say whatever he wants. Whereas when he was actually president, and like you said at the end, doing those pardons, I can guarantee Trump would have wanted to pardon Ross, Ed Snowden, Assange, but he'd have been told, you're not doing that. This is the list you can pick from. You can pick 5. Which even that, right, it makes a mockery of the whole justice system, right? These people get sentenced through a whole court of law. There's juries, there's judges, there's all this fucking fraud. People get sentenced for long periods of time, and then we let every president, just as they leave on their last day, pick 10 names from that sheet. We'll just let them out. Who are these people? I don't know. Mass murderers, like who cares? Just we completely throw justice in the bin and let the president just pardon you, and you just get to walk free today. So even the whole concept of it is stupid. But I can guarantee, like when he was actually in power, his list would have been very limited. Now he's just trying to get back in power. I wouldn't be surprised if next week he says he's going to pardon Edward Snowden and Assange. And it's like, you can't, mate. You literally can't. Like, they're not going to let you.
Yeah.
Well, talking of which, on Trump's last day in power back in 2021, he pardoned Lil Wayne and another rapper called Kodak Black and 140 other people.
Lil Wayne.
So they all had their sentences commuted. So yeah, it happens for sure.
What do you know what Lil Wayne was up
to? I'm trying to find out as
he's probably up for like multiple rape charges and stuff. Like, he's just like, I like Lil Wayne. He came to visit me one time. Like.
But do you know what though? Again, this is the corruption of the US. Like Lil Wayne would have campaigned for him, and obviously, in terms of campaigning for him, oh well, your reciprocal gift is your pardon. So he doesn't necessarily have to agree with Donald Trump's views, but he's doing it for his own self-worth, and lo and behold, everyone's a winner. So Lil Wayne was he pleaded guilty to federal weapons charges, and he faced up to 10 years. Obviously, he didn't do those 10 years, but because he was carrying a gun on a private plane with bullets when searched in Miami in December 2019, that pardon stood still, or stood the standard time. So yeah.
I know in America that's like a serious charge. That's a misdemeanor
Yeah.
in my eyes. Like
Yeah.
he didn't shoot anyone, he didn't do anything with the gun, he just had a gun. You're meant to have guns in America, and he's landed the free, I thought. But
Correct.
it
Yeah.
seemed like you
And
get caught with a gun in the wrong place in America, and like you get 10 years for it. You're like, hold on, am I allowed a gun or not?
yep. And the other rapper was apparently he was sentenced to was going to be sentenced to almost 4 years in 2019 for making a false statement to buy a firearm.
Oh well.
So yeah.
Anyway, should we move on to our next story?
Let's.
So this is it's a long video. I'm not going to put it in. I'm just going to encourage people to look in the comments and find it. It's 11 and a half minutes long, and it's a bit of a wild ride. I must admit, I clicked on it on Twitter and just thought, okay, because it literally the title of the tweet is RIP Rick Mail, and then it goes on to show Rick Mail basically saying they're lying to you, like exposing a lot of these big establishment lies. And then it cuts to a clip of the news going, Rick Mail died suddenly in his bed last night, heart attack. You go, oh, right, I haven't been down the Rick Mail government by suicide rabbit hole. Like this is a new one. I didn't realize they bumped him off. Like, holy shit, I used to watch Bottom back in the day. What a legend Rick Mail is. Then the video just goes on and on. And the key bit that I kind of took from it was that actually, because we mentioned it numerous times on here, like why did America revolt against the British to take independence over America? Yeah, and it was supposedly the 3% tax that the British put on tea that the Americans went, how dare you? They revolted over that, and then it's become a meme now because, well, now they have 50% tax by themselves, right? Not just on tea, but on fucking everything, as well as all the other taxation that they have. So that worked out well. But in this video, it actually exposes the founding fathers were not opposed to the taxation. It was more the fact that the British were printing money out of thin air. Anyway, we can see where this goes. This is bad. Printing money is bad. We're going to take independence, create our own version of money, and it will be sound. It'll be backed by gold and all this kind of stuff. And because the second you deviate from that and start inflating out of thin air, everything that is money and that people value money to be goes, and you lose society, everything collapses. That is actually why America split away from Britain. Inflation and money printing out of thin air. And little did the founding fathers know that in the generations to come, they were going to fall foul to the exact trap that they were trying to escape, and did the exact same thing.
It's peak irony.
Yeah.
I think this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Yeah, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes.
I mean, it does. You know, we discussed it on last week's. I always come back to the same question: who owns the Fed? Who owns the Bank of England if the government does not? I always come back to that, and like that is just when you start to think about it, it leads you down the kind of like
they're just magically two independent institutions that work completely independently.
Yeah, exactly. That's a 24-hour Audible book by the name of The Creature of Jekyll Island, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's where that starts from. And yeah, it's mad. I didn't know and wasn't aware of the link of Rick Mail. He really reminds me of the other author who we like as well, from Daylight Robbery. His name quickly escapes me. I can see the book on my bookshelf.
Dominic Frisby.
Yeah, Dominic Frisby. They're off that same ilk, aren't they?
Yeah, very dry humor.
Yeah.
Like, grew up in the 80s and stuff. Yeah. Did any of you watch Bottom when you were kids?
Yeah,
No.
and the young ones.
No.
Oh man, that used to be the show. I used to come in when we were like 11, 10, 12, 13, and we'd be quoting Bottom off like in the classroom. Literally, it's literally like little things like, "Oh, you're pleased to see me." No, it's just the way my trousers work up. That's a bottom joke. Like, literally, I remember that from being 12, and like we used to just watch that show. They're just hitting each other around the head with frying pans. Like it's fucking stupid. But yeah, it's like a legend of a show. And yeah, I didn't know Rick Mail
The
was
shaping
his
of
base.
Mr. All In all makes sense now.
Yeah. Too many frying pans.
Yeah, the dry humor. Yeah, it all makes sense.
Yeah, he's a legend. I love him even more now. If he got whacked by the fucking UK government or whoever fucking whacked him because he was about to expose some truths that, because who knows? Like, this is the thing, isn't it? This is happening to a lot of like celebrities that they kind of like they get co-opted. You know, this is the Epstein thing. They go on these expensive trips. They get essentially evidence gets put against them. Like they get put in certain situations and filmed or photographed or whatever with underage children or whatever it might be, drugs, and then suddenly now it's used against them, which is like, now you need to keep parrot speaking these PR pieces, keep talking about this war, this is who's right, this is who's wrong, this vaccination is right, that vaccination is wrong, this person's right, that person's wrong, Trump is bad, Biden is good. Provided you keep doing these talking points, this stays in the background, you have a career. If you don't agree, we will ruin you. And it's what's happening right now. It's like P. Diddy is probably the one that's in the limelight right now, isn't it? It's like,
correct.
Which side is he on? Like, is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? Is he someone that got caught in the middle? It's happening so often, and we never get any clarity. These people just end up having heart attacks and disappearing. Kanye West is another one. He just goes missing. And yeah, I'll be gutted if Rick Mail was someone that went under the radar. Like, they whacked him off with it's always a heart attack. Heart attacks are always, he's 56. You can have a heart attack at 56. It's like, well, yeah, you can if you're morbidly obese. Like he wasn't. He was a relatively slim guy. Like, what? He shouldn't be going at 56. God damn it! If they killed Rick Mail, then that's the last straw.
That is the last straw. That's the headline for the pod this week.
yeah, that's a great.
Yeah, screw like Breedlove shagging OnlyFans models and Trump.
Boring that. That's expected.
I love the quote from that, by the way. Like the meme that's come from that is the bum check.
What?
The what?
It's purely because like the girl that he's now dating, she's like put that picture on going, quick bum check before I come out, and it's a picture of her ass. So everyone's going, quick bum check. What about this? Bum check. What about that? Like, just everyone's just like, it's becoming like a part of the Bitcoin Twitter lexicon. Is just bum check. So whenever you want to check something, say bum check.
Yeah, that's a nice fork in the chain.
Oh, fantastic. Right. And then our last story of the week is Trust Me, Bro by Simon Dixon. So a little bit of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Bitcoin FUD. There's more, as always. Now, is this the worst argument against Bitcoin that you've ever heard? And I'll let you play the clip.
It's up there.
Are you all not selling now? I was thinking about selling.
Not only is it's probably not the worst argument, I probably heard worse, but it's more of a sales pitch in my mind.
But it's also like, oh, bro, don't you trust the government, bro?
Like, no,
don't you trust the banks? It's like they dwindle down your money. They let banks basically destroy the economy. They put inflation over the last few years about 40-50%. But trust them, they can be trusted, bro.
I thought exactly what Gaz thought. I thought back to the Sherman thing before. I was like, this is just another advert. Is it? Yeah. Is it actually fun?
Who is this guy anyway?
Who is this guy?
Who is he?
I think his name's on the thing. So Yuval Noah Harari, but who knows? Probably some fiat shell, and yeah, here he is. Yeah.
Oh, he wrote *Sapiens*.
No.
Oh, he's a moron.
He did write *Sapiens*, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I word that book's actually good.
Another one down the
No.
another one down the dunny.
But when you type in a certain selection of words into Google, which may be Yuval Noah Harari, WEF, yes.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you kind of go gender contributor, so you kind of go, oh, great, there we go. So it wasn't even a coherent argument, wasn't it? It was just pretty much like, don't you trust us, bro? We won't diminish the power of your spending over years.
Well,
Not like we've done over the last 50 years, well, even before that. And it just seems to be, Bitcoin is based on distrust purely because you can't trust everyone. And that's the whole point behind sound money, why gold was used for so many years, because the technology, how hard it was to dig, they reckon was only 2% extra growth per year because how hard it was to mine. So back in those times, it was fine. But now you're kind of going, well, it's not really scalable with the internet. It can't be transported. And then also, when you get freak asteroids, or the fact that various planets may have massive reservoirs, and also when we found a massive one in Uganda, which seems to have gone very quiet, it's not something which is really scalable because you may have jumps like inflation by about 40% in the cases of like Uganda mine.
Yeah, I like the fact I actually quite admire probably the argument he's coming with, which is trying to paint Bitcoin in this, oh, isn't the world a horrible place if you like Bitcoin because it means you can't trust people, and so it's a clever little angle because it's not true at all. That is not the angle that Bitcoin has come with at all.
What it means, so people from Nigeria won't back him up. The Lebanese won't back him up. The Venezuelans won't back him up. And the Turkish won't back him up.
Yeah.
Well, no, because it's
and
one
then
of them,
Germany and the Weimar Republic won't back him up.
Well, no, because I think fundamentally, Bitcoiners do believe that, like, if you put any one or group of individuals over the supply of money, they will become corrupt in the end. And history is on our side on that because the control of money has fallen on a number of groups of individuals over the history of time, and every single time those groups of individuals, even if they themselves didn't become corrupt, the people that they had to leave that system and inherit it from, they became corrupt, or the next set of people. Eventually it becomes corrupt. Eventually the system collapses. And that is what Bitcoin is designed to solve, is to remove human intervention, largely just purely from the volume of money that is available. Let's just cap the supply. What you do with the money, who you send it to, what you do with it, what you spend your money on, all down to you. Literally, there's no one telling you what to do, no nothing. It's like, talk about saying Bitcoin is a system of distrust. It's like, no, it's trustless. Like, it doesn't care. It doesn't. You don't have to trust it. It doesn't trust you. You just get to do what you do with it, and the core fundamentals of the platform remain the same. But when he goes, oh, but you distrust, the entire system is built on distrust. It's like, well, in reality, if people didn't distrust the government, I guess we don't have as much of a use case. But we don't need to distrust the government for Bitcoin to work. It's fine. And then once you start building your ecosystems of Bitcoin, the money is just an also ran. It doesn't almost matter.
Yeah.
The people that we then start to trust in our ecosystem are who's the farmer, who's the electrician, who's the plumber, who's the dentist, who's the doctor, who's the wood carpenter. Who are these people? We all trust each other, and then we keep each other in check. If someone falls out of line, you kick them out of your circle, you bring someone else in. That's our little citadel. That's our, if anything, Bitcoin requires trust hugely to work, because we're separate from government now. We're not looking for these big government handouts, these big government central systems. We're building smaller citadels of small self-sustained kind of populations, and the money just exists We don't need to trust the central authority. We don't need any person inside our citadel isn't in control of the money. That is the network. The money stays consistent. We don't want anyone in control of that, because if someone's in control of the money, they automatically get control of everybody else in every other industry, because they can just print whatever they want for themselves. You know, the wood carpenter can't get above his station, right? He's just, all we can ever do is just create more wood carpentry, right? The plumber
We've
can't
seen
do
it. They've gone from money, they've gone to food, and they've gone to energy, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're controlling continents with it, and it's a bit insane. Like going back to it, like on actual trusted governments, I've got a few countries here. So Venezuela, we all know about. And the funny thing is, this is 2023, and they claim that the inflation is 360%. In Venezuela, it's known to be over 1,000 year on year. Zimbabwe, Sudan, Argentina, Turkey. Turkey's at 51, and once again, it's known to be more like 150%. Suriname and Iran. So those, you know, just to select the countries. Argentina, which was a top 10 country back in the 1940s before it got taken over, because it had very good natural resources. So, you know, it can happen to any country. And Nigeria is starting to really surge now. I think I saw a nice little tweet, which was, what is it? A Nigerian, what they called a naira,
No, yeah.
is worth less than a sat now. So that's how bad the currency is getting over there. And with Turkey, they cut, what was it? Was it 6 zeros off their currency after they inflated it so much the other year?
Yeah. Kind of going on a small tangent on this one, but because you kind of put me up onto him. So Monish Prabhai, I looked at his, so from the Dando Investor, he talked about his portfolio. He's invested a little bit into coal in the US, some companies in India, and then 50%, like large majority of it, was 3 companies in Turkey. And I was just like, really? Like Turkey of all places, and their inflation, why would he do that? I don't know the answer, but
I was going to say, I was waiting for the answer.
I'm throwing it out there.
Well,
like,
you got to think that
well, he's not getting paid in the lira, is he? So
yeah, it could, and ultimately they probably just convert straight away, almost like an automated company level of strike, where they're going from the lira to the dollar. So I wouldn't really worry about their cash reserves, but it'll just be, you know, if there's an opportunity where they are. Maybe got a regulatory moat, maybe no other company can climb up to where they are. So it's just they've got, you know, a run on all the other companies, so why not?
yeah.
And he was like, sorry, is this the guy that was supposedly is this the latest video?
No, this is one of the biggest investors in the world. So Monish, what's his name again?
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about it?
It was just about Turkey, about buying companies in Turkey.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So random tangent.
Random tangent, just to end the pod for anyone that is even this far into the pod.
My only point was going to be maybe that's why he's now co-opted by the elite. You know, he got himself wrecked, so now he's just quoting shit.
Oh yeah, it's different.
It's another Breedlove example, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
No, Manish is a big time investor, so he's not, I suppose, Warren Buffett, but he's not too far behind.
Yeah.
Going back to this guy though, like he literally says like it's a bad thing going to Bitcoin's like going back to gold, but digital gold. And you're like, yeah, we know. Yeah, exactly. And he talks about moving away from it, like 90% of all money is now like held in data. Yeah,
Brilliant. You get it.
You're so close.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, he keeps saying these things. Like, yeah, he says it's like going back to gold, but it's the bad thing. And then he goes, and 90% of the money is printed out of thin air and is in data. Like that's a good thing. Like, bro, like, who are you trying to convince? Like,
keep going.
He's done it to himself.
You're meant to say this. That these are the things you say behind closed doors. You're meant to be mentioning child sex trafficking.
Oh.
He had the wrong script, didn't he? He's like,
he had to sell Bitcoin script.
like shit, I read the wrong one.
Shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
Where's the money laundering Nazi one? Fuck.
Right. Well, there we've had it. Pod 141. I don't know if there'll be a 142, but if there is, it'll be presented to you by Mr. All In, aka the $1 Trillion Man, Dr. Evil 10%, aka the People's Champ, myself, Sir Neverlook, aka the Excellence of Execution, and she will be here, Mrs. No Show, aka Mrs. No Show. The world's most bullish podcast. Peace.